What's happening everyone, my name is Alex and welcome back. In today's video we are checking out one of the latest robot vacuums from Narwal. What we have here today is called the Narwal Freo Pro. Now what you're seeing next to me right here is just the robot vacuum itself, but of course in the box you're also gonna get the all-in-one station. However, the all-in-one station is a bit too big for my desk, so that's why I don't have it next to me. But basically the all-in-one station is the place where the robot vacuum will go charge, is the place where it will wash the mop pads at the bottom, is the place where it will dry those mop pads. So that all-in-one station is also a very important part of this robot vacuum. And another major upgrade for this robot vacuum is the dual tangle free system. So basically the robot vacuum will not get any hair stuck on the main brush or on the side brushes, but I'll tell you more about it later on in the video. Now, taking in consideration all the specs and features of this robot vacuum and compared to the competition, this one is actually priced really well. And as always, there will be some links in the video's description so you can check this out. Alright, so what can this robot do? Well, it can basically do it all. If you have a combination of carpets and hard floors at home, this vacuum will be able to vacuum all those carpets that you may have. Of course, it can also vacuum the hard floors, and it will also be able to wash all the hard floors that you may have at home. For vacuuming, this has a suction power of 8500 PA, so it doesn't really matter what you're gonna have on the floor. If you have hair, if you have anything on the floor, this will be able to pick up everything from the floor because there is a lot of suction power available. Also very important, on one charge, this can run for up to 3.5 hours, which is more than most other robot vacuums available on the market. So it doesn't really matter how big your house will be. I mean, unless you have this massive mansion, this will be able to finish a cleaning cycle on one charge. As for quietness, this is also one of the most quiet robot vacuums that I got to try up until now. Now, of course, it depends what kind of suction power you have enabled, but for the minimum suction power available, you can barely hear the robot vacuum whenever it vacuums. So if you're working from home, just to give you an example, you can barely hear the robot vacuum. So it is extremely quiet. Now, another thing I absolutely love about this vacuum is the zero-tangling roller brush at the bottom here. So this brush here, with a lot of robot vacuums available on the market, typically catches a lot of hair on it. Well, that is not the case with this one. So I've been using the vacuum for about a week and a half now, and there is literally no hair stuck on this brush. So all the hair will basically go inside the robot vacuum, so you're not gonna have to take this out every couple of days to clean it because, well, there is no hair stuck on it. Another thing this vacuum has that I haven't actually seen on any other robot vacuum up until now are these side brushes that we have. So first of all, we have two side brushes. Both side brushes kind of push all the dirt towards the main suction hole in the center here. But these also detangle all the hair that could get stuck on them. Now I'm gonna show you another robot vacuum that I have here at home, and basically every day it goes vacuuming, I kind of have to remove those brushes on the other one and clean the hair of it. So I'm just gonna show you how that looks after one cleaning, and this is how this one looks after one cleaning. So what happens, this brush here, the brushes are spread open, but every so often the vacuum will kind of stop them from moving, and all the hair that gets collected on them, it will kind of be sucked into the suction hole here. But basically these brushes here will detangle themselves by spinning and stopping and getting those brushes together, and basically all the hair from them will be sucked into that suction hole, if that makes sense. So technically you're not gonna have to turn this vacuum around to take all the hair off these brushes or the main brush. So no hair that will be stuck with this vacuum. And since I have the vacuum like this, I might as well talk about the mopping capabilities of it as well. So the vacuum will basically mop with these two mop brushes that we have at the bottom here. These also have a triangular shape, and this vacuum knows how to get very close to the edge of the wall. So it does this awkward movement, but it basically gets really close to the edge of the wall, where a lot of these robot vacuums leave a bit of space that never gets cleaned. Well, that's not going to be the case with this one, because this one will be able to get really close to the edge of the wall. These mop pads also put 12 newtons of downward pressure on the floor. So it's basically pushing on the floor. So if you have something spilled on the floor, if something gets dry, for example, I actually had some mud on the floor the other day. This will be able to push onto the floor and clean whatever you have on the floor. Now, this robot also features what the manufacturer calls dirt sense. So basically the robot will be able to tell how dirty your floor is based on how dirty the water from these mops is. So it will wash the mops based on how dirty that water is, and of course will go over your floors multiple times based on that. So it doesn't matter what you have on your floor, this will be able to tell if the floor is dirty and it needs more washing, but eventually to leave all the floor nice and clean. So the all-in-one station will wash those mop pads. Of course, at the top of the all-in-one station, we have two water tanks, one for clean water, so you're gonna have to fill that up with clean water, and one for dirty water. So all the water that gets washed from the mops, and you're actually gonna be surprised how dirty that water gets after each washing. And here at home, I have basically like 7 vacuums and they all constantly clean. So I was quite surprised to see how dirty that water got after one cleaning. So basically you have to empty that dirty water container, and whenever that gets full. And of course that washing station, the all-in-one station, will also dry these mops whenever it's done a cleaning cycle, and of course after it washes them. For a robotic vacuum at this affordable price, it not only powerfully vacuums and mops, but it also cleans the mops really well all by itself, making it a really maintenance-free choice. One thing I forgot to mention when we're talking about vacuuming is what happens to all that dirt that gets collected from the floor. So under here, we basically have a 1 liter dust bag. Now in the box you're also gonna get a dust container, so it is entirely up to you if you wanna use this dust bag here or that other container. Basically the other container you can just empty yourself, or if you use the bag here, the dirt gets all compacted in there, so the vacuum does all that automatically, and eventually you just throw this out. But basically you should be able to get up to 7 weeks before you'd have to replace the bag here, or if you're using that plastic container that comes in the box, of course you can just empty that whenever you want. And of course another very important part of a robot vacuum is the obstacle avoidance and house mapping, of course, because whenever this goes on a cleaning cycle, most of the time you may not even be home. So it is very important that the vacuum doesn't get stuck, that the vacuum knows where it has to go, where it went, and of course it has to go back to that all-in-one station to wash the mop pads every so often, or to recharge whenever it's done a cleaning cycle. So this vacuum has it also. The top here we have the laser navigation system. We also have a variety of sensors on the front of the vacuum. This is also a bumper here. Now the vacuum rarely bumps into anything throughout the house, but if it does bump into anything, it will basically touch it with this bumper at the front, and then it will kind of turn around. It doesn't matter if you have chairs at home, it will kind of go in between chairs. If you drop something on the floor, if you have some cables, some small toys, it knows how to avoid all those. Because the worst thing that can happen is you go away from home, you know that the vacuum will go on a cleaning cycle, and then it gets stuck on something and it doesn't end up cleaning. Well, that's not the case with this one. Narwal has one of the best navigation systems available from any manufacturer, really. So this will not get stuck on cables or whatever you may have on the floor. And of course, from the Narwal Freo app, you can customize absolutely everything about this robot vacuum. You can set schedules, so the vacuum can just go on its schedule and clean whenever you want it to clean. You can also customize how much suction power the vacuum will use. You can customize how wet the mop pads here can be whenever it goes on a cleaning cycle. So absolutely everything about this is customizable. If you don't want to have the vacuum going to a certain area, of course you can make a do not go zone from the app. You can just send the vacuum to one area of the house. So basically anything that you can think about is done through that Narwal Freo app, and absolutely everything is super customizable. So to quickly conclude this video, if you're looking for an affordable robot vacuum that does it all and also does everything really well, look no further, because the Narwal Freo Pro is the one that you should consider. One of my favorite features, of course, is the zero-tangle technology that we have. So this brush will not get hair on it. These brushes will not get hair on them. So that's very important, because with other vacuums, you basically have to turn them around every second day or so and just clean the hair of it. Well, that's not the case with this one. All the hair will basically be inside the robot vacuum where it should be. I also love the fact that this is extremely quiet. So if you are at home and you have this vacuuming and mopping, you can barely hear it. Of course, it really depends what suction power you're using. But I do love that about this vacuum, because it is extremely quiet. Well, thanks Narwal for sponsoring this video. As always, there will be some links in the video's description so you can check this out. If you do have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below and I'll do my best to answer whatever questions you may have. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.